Hello, Gnome Stew fans. John Arcadian here, and we are here with Gnome Stew's shameless push for affiliate status. So on Saturday we did our Morgan Gerkstrom's The Mad Manticore Prismatic Peak first actual play live Twitch stream, and we got super close to affiliate status just from that alone. I think we need like 2 more people to subscribe to us. We need 4 hours of, or no, 2 hours of streaming, and we need to stream on 4 more days. So we scrambled today and put together some incredibly high budget extra options we could stream fairly quickly over the next week or so. So I pulled the short and the long straw and got tonight. And so I wanted to put together something just to point out a couple of my favorite little mapping hacks that I have. Something I could put together quick. So it will be kludgy because, that's kind of what we're operating on this short time budget to fit within Twitch's 30 days here. But with that being said, I want to jump right into it. I want to show you 3 of my favorite mapping hacks, which are really incredibly cool. The first one that I want to show you is called Dynamic Dungeons. And let me get it all set up on the stream here. Like I said, this will be incredibly professional and so incredibly polished. All right, Dynamic Dungeons. Here is the Dynamic Dungeons Patreon. Dynamic Dungeons, you can see they're doing pretty good on Patreon, about $10,000, about a little over $9,000 a month. But what they make is animated map packs, and they're kind of incredible. You can see the person who makes this does 3D animation. They puts it together for exactly this sort of setup. So you can have an animated 3D map at your table. Now, I have used this multiple times in my games. I have over in a corner over there, probably just slightly off camera, a TV and a frame that I built to use for portable gaming. But for things like Roll20, I'm not actually quite sure how you put it into Roll20, but for things like, a TV map, it is phenomenal, as you can see right here. This is a digital map that they have. Is another one. Let's pull in the Ancient Runes. You can see there are very slight animations on these, but that's kind of what makes them cool. It gives just that little breath of life to them, that bird flying across, a little shadow following slightly before or after it. There is a ton of detail in these, and there are how many now have I seen? 30 or 40, I believe. There are probably more, but they have different variations. So this is called the Ancient Runes Broadleaf Day. Very simple, being played through VLC Media Player currently. This is the Bridge Over Lava, which has a lot of lava and steam. Just very simple animations. Here's the Fiery Seamless Full Grid. This is one that is, actually, I think I'm zoomed in right now. Let me zoom out to show you the original. All right, so here's there's the skull. Isn't that fun? So here's the full, kind of map that you can use on an entire grid. Oh, Chuck loves Dynamic Dungeons. Yeah, it is phenomenal. Blake, yes, there are absolutely weather effects. Let me see if I can find one. I only have a few downloaded here. They take a fair amount to download. Each of these comes in about 70 megabytes. So here's Village Day Grid, and then I believe there are a couple. There's a campsite that has campsite in the rain. There's a campsite that has campsite in the snow. Same thing, just varying minimal effects to kind of give that little bit of motion and life to it. It is not just a short GIF like you would think that. It's goes for about 31 seconds. Let me zoom out. Let me show you the whole thing in VLC Media Player so you can see what it has. So it goes to about, this one is about 50 seconds, about a minute, and it repeats on loop. It's seamless to repeat on loop, so I have it set on my VLC to loop. And it's, just the very basics of what you need. Let's see. Here's the Haunted Graveyard. Does anything really interesting happen? I don't think there are too many things that would interfere with your usage of this map in some way. Like a vampire doesn't jump out in the Haunted Graveyard and then you suddenly have to explain a vampire. So, they're just, Maps Plus, which is kind of awesome. So there is one thing that I've had an issue with in using this, because one of the things that I love to use is little, digital tokens when I'm doing other types of maps. Like I have, a straight up image map here that I use, just an image, zoom it in where I need it to be, and it has, everything I need on it, but there's not a really great way to put a digital token on this. There is, however, a very nice hack called Screen Dragons, which essentially lets you take an image, turn it into a modifiable icon, which you can move anywhere on the screen. So suddenly I can just pull in any sort of icon that I need, move it on, and put it in the screen. One more thing to talk about these. If you go under video and do zoom, you can zoom in on most of these maps to get it to the right size on your digital table. Yeah, camera went slightly out of focus on me or on the map. Yeah, it's my computer is struggling just a little bit running these multiple maps, and the other thing that I have on the background all prepped for here. But yeah, so you can zoom in on these. You can do a couple of things. There is a couple of hacks that I found. Media Player Classic actually does better with a zoom plugin, so I can zoom and move around a little more cleanly on those. That was a big lifesaver for me. And then VLC does pretty good, and VLC usually does very good on absolutely everything. But on this, VLC does decent, and Media Player Classic with the zoom plugin actually worked a lot better for me. All right, so that is Dynamic Dungeons. Let me introduce you to the other second map hack that I have for tonight for this fairly short video, and that is a program called Worldographer. Now, if you can see behind me, I have a map here that I'm going to talk about later, why I have this map here. But this is a map that I made that you'll pretty quickly be able to tell that I made, because it's not super clean. It kind of works. I'm no artist, but this is a map I made with a program called Worldographer. And Worldographer is a hex-based mapping solution that has a ton of options. There's another thing that the company makes. The company is called what is the name of the company? I am not remembering. But there's another thing they make called Inkographer and Dungeonographer, which is down for the dungeon size things. But this one, Worldographer, is perfect for building an entire world here. You kind of lay out and paint these tiles. So I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to pull up terrain, and let's go down to my little sandy desert for this map that I made for my 8-month Lamia campaign. And let me grab the right shape tile for forest jungle. And I can just paint over by clicking and holding, and I can paint over all these tiles to turn it into a jungle forest. And let me find my other beach. I can do a different type of desert. There's a desert I used for this one. You can see here there are a ton of options. There are a slew of options for different styles, different designs. I have it on isometric terrain, but you can go fully old school and make an incredible old school map. Do these kind of desert tiles. You can go into sort of a nice top-down view. You can find purely isometric. Let's get to isometric. This is a little off for this, but you can get to purely isometric. Here we go, desert sandy beach. Yeah, now I've got it back. And you can get this, very isometric style here. So you have terrain, but one of the things I found most when I was playing with this on my first attempt, under features, you have a slew of different features. So let's do city. All right. Here are multiple types of cities. And if you click on this, you'd think you can drag it, but you can't. This is essentially a painting program. To be fair, Radzum and Chris says, to be fair, that looks a lot better than a lot of maps from honest-to-God rulebooks from not too long ago. You don't even want to see the maps that I have hand-drawn. Those are horrible, and any art teacher would just kick me out of their class instantly. I am not a very... Not a very steady and stable drawer with my hands. All right, so here's a city. If you click here, it adds it in. All right, so now we have a very small city that you can see in there, but that doesn't quite work for us. So you can go to select, and it's a little touchy in this. It's a phenomenally diverse and robust program, but it's a little touchy. And if you click on it, get it, and grab these 6 points, it then zooms out and builds a very large city. So then you can kind of hover over it. You have to get it exactly right. You can see it's a little hard to select it here. There we go. And you can move this wherever you need inside your terrain. You can move the Z index up or down, so you can move it up or above other things on the terrain feature. And one of the things that I found was the most unique element I could do. All these mountains here, I could take and zoom way up and create very interesting large peaks. So, even with my limited art skills, you're able to do some really cool looking things with this. Like I said, it's very touchy. You can see on this one, if you get right at the center, you can hover over it, drag it up or down. Now let me type in mountain, find another mountain that I want to add in there, hit enter. All right, you can see some of these are made for different isometric views. Some of these are built for other types of isometric views. I'll grab this one and I'll click and I'll paint it. All right, now it's painted on. Now I move over to my select, click on that, and then I get my movement. All right, I've got that, but I actually want to take this and move it back. There we go. Now I've got it behind, and now if I can get rid of that, I have a very nice kind of background seam mountain. Yeah, it is pretty neat, Blake. It is just, this blew my mind when I first found it, and I'm not even getting into a sliver of the options here. You can see kind of the as I move this, the painted image background. I believe I took and made that image and uploaded it. There is an upload feature. So that water in the background is just a background that this is all moving over as I set this up. The view level currently, can you see it? Yeah, you can see it, is world, but you can switch down to continent. And what this will do, as it churns my very fast video editing computer to a halt, it moves you down to a continent level. So you can build a separate map here on the continent level. And then you can go down to a kingdom level. And as you see here, select number of hexes. We'll do 8. Click OK. It is now building a new map that is laying inside the other map. So you can, click on a kingdom or click on an area, and it will show you a different map. So you can actually, create this, have maps within maps linked off of each other. I'm going to stop this, and hopefully it doesn't freeze my computer. You can see the memory usage here. It is currently up to 5 out of the 6 gigabytes that I have allowed this program on my computer. So it is not a small program. If I pull it back to the world level, though, everything is fine. It's down to only 3 gigabytes out of these 6 gigabytes on my computer. And it is doing okay now. All right. Does it have a square grid? There are options other than hex, but it is mostly for a hex grid. Let me see if I can start a new one. Here's the brand new map attributes. Hex orientation. Do you want the columns or the rows? Select type of terrain. Let's do flat dead forest. Map projection. Let's go for flat because I don't know how much this is going to tax my computer. Hex width. Let's do 50 by 50. Initial view. Yeah, I don't know how to get into square. I feel like there was a square option that I played with at one point, but I have not done this for a while. Trace an image is a fun feature as well. I don't have an image, but you can actually trace and it will draw out the borders of the land for you. So this is a very incredibly diverse program. Let me see. Worldographer, just give them a shout out. Yeah, worldographer.com, easy enough to find. You can see there are a ton of options here. You can do a ton of things. You can draw on it. You can make child maps. There are just a ton of things here that you can do. And let's see, visit our store. How much is this, just so we know? Yeah, $39.95, which is not a bad price for something that lets you do some very diverse options. And Dungeonographer and Cityographer are just as robust. I believe they have a license option as well in case you need it, to create like professional maps to use in products. But I do not remember because it has been a while since I played this. So, I made this for this map for this campaign about 8 months ago, and actually about 12 months ago, and I don't remember because I haven't been in depth in it. I have Hexographer, the first version of the software. I'm now convinced to spend the $40 on the upgrade. I agree, JT Evans. I am a fan of anything that saves me having to draw a map myself. Is this a web-based app? No, it is completely a install on your Windows-based computer app. I do not believe they have other options. Worldographer introduces. Yeah, I do not believe or see a Mac version. I believe I saw a fairly basic C# sort of installer set up with it. But yeah, I think only Windows for this app. But if you do have Windows, it is definitely well worth it. You can see some of the diversity of maps they're creating here. All right, let me get on to the third one real quick, because tonight's broadcast was always going to be a fairly short broadcast, and then we're going to move into some longer broadcasts, maybe tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. But the third map hack that I have that is incredibly stupid but incredibly great for so many instances is Vistaprint. Yeah, no, I said Vistaprint, and you can see behind me my vinyl banner printout of that Worldographer map that I made. This is a about 3.5 foot by 5 foot vinyl banner of that map that I can wet erase draw on and that I can lay out on the table. And I use this primarily before I had my TV in a frame built. This was what I used for the world map, and you can probably even see a few of the little red stains when we used the wrong type of marker on it. But this cost me to print, all in all, $22 or so. And Vistaprint will print anything you have, any image you have. They're, sometimes a little picky on the copyright, but really I've never had an issue if, I printed out something that's technically copyrighted, but, the company has given you permission to do it. And this prints out a really nice, very large map. Now, one thing when you would print out a map like this, it'll have a little white border around it, probably because their sizes are made for vinyl banners. What you would do in Vistaprint is, let me see if I can pull this up and go through it real quick for anybody going through this. Hopefully I don't have to be logged in. All right, you would search vinyl banner. All right, put it back to this. All right, vinyl banner, and here's vinyl banner starting at $13.34. Select whether you want it horizontal or vertical. In most cases, you're probably going to want this horizontal sort of setup, and then find your size. So 2.5 by 10, that's 4 foot by 4 foot by 12 foot, little big for what we're looking for. 4 foot by 6 foot, still pretty darn big. Indoor would be fine for this. I don't think there's actually a change in cost for this. You don't need any of these things. So that's $78. That's way too expensive. 2.5 by 4, $36. Let's go to indoor. Grommets, none. Banner reinforcement, none. All right. So I remember it costing me $22. There's probably a coupon out there. You can always kind of Google Vistaprint coupons and find them. But once you get it sized up, get what you need, all you have to do is upload your image into it, and bam, it prints it out. Now, how do you do that from Worldographer? Let's open back up my old one. Here's the map. When you export, you can export to an image. Here's all my Lamia versions. test Lamia map. Does it to ping, which is going to be pretty lossless, and you can set the hex grid and the hex height and the export, and this is where it really taxes out your computer. Oh my god, does Worldographer tax out your computer when you're doing something like this, because it is creating a super incredibly high resolution version of this. Let me see if I can tell you the size of one of the maps I printed before. Campaigns. Pull up all my campaigns. World info. There's Lamia V2. All right, here's Lamia. This version of it is 26.6, but that's the JPEG. This version is 178 megabytes for a JPEG built off of this. The PSD that I built of it was 867. So these are not small things when you get to them. But as you can see, switch back to this, it makes a very beautiful, very large, very useful sort of map for any sort of like long-term campaign you've got. Oh, hey, JT Evans, thank you. Discount code for Worldographer and other Ographer software GM's Day, because today is International GM's Day. So yay. So thank you for finding that. So go get Worldographer right now if you can, if you're watching this stream right at this current time, because it is an incredible program. Pull that back up on my screen. It's an incredible program that will help you make some really awesome, really incredible maps that you may or may not be capable of creating yourself. I'm not going to say it's Anna Meyer level, because holy wow, Anna Meyer's work is phenomenal, and there are very few better map makers out there than her. But it will get you something that is pretty passable for most games. So that is about the end of the 3 map hacks that I have for you tonight. So if you weren't aware, this is our Gnome Stew Shameless push for affiliate status. We are going to be back. We may have something lined up for tomorrow night. We'll see how we get a certain thing in or out, depending on the options and what happens. But on Wednesday night, we're going to be doing a kind of Bob Ross-ish minis painting sort of extravaganza, getting a couple of people together to sit and do some painting and talk about effective ways to paint miniatures and how to get them, and have a little like Zen miniature painting thing for 30 to 40 minutes or so. And then on Thursday night, we're going to have a GM's roundtable where we will answer questions, talk about GMing advice, talk about things going on in the industry, just a little chit chat about GMing. So we hope you'll come back and join us, and I thank you for joining us tonight.